Hello, everyone, and welcome back into another episode of Conversations with Chris and Cameron. It's episode 65. I'm Chris Beesmore,
And I'm Cameron Waddle.
and we have a whole lot to cover in this show. We'll be talking about TBT La Familia was announced on Monday. I haven't posted the video. I was so busy today, was just with having actually TBT La Familia stuff, but I will be posting a little segment probably in the morning that we recorded last week. But if y'all don't know, I'm helping out with La Familia. I'm just helping to run their social media account on X, so I am very excited about that. We discussed it last week in a little video segment, so we'll be talking about that, of course. And then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander winning MVP, so that was great to see a former Cat. And then, of course, we'll be talking about Kentucky basketball recruitment. But how have you been doing, Cameron?
I've been good. I've been good. It's been like head on a swivel season because it's kind of the time of year that you think, as a like college fan, that you think it's kind of a like dead period, but it's a time that you kind of got to look around and there's so many different things that you can kind of follow. So it's been a lot of fun to see. I mean, like you mentioned with the recruiting, with the TBT news coming out and stuff. So
Mhm.
it's a fun time to be a Kentucky Wildcat fan, and I mean we got a lot to talk about, so I'm excited to be on here.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll get right into TBT. So, might as well, if y'all don't know, it's officially back, La Familia. They will be playing against the Ville in a three-game series, best of three. So, if UK or La Familia, if they win the first two games, they don't have to play a third game. And by the time this podcast gets uploaded, hopefully UK will win the challenge. Basically, if y'all don't know, whoever sells the most tickets within the first 24 hours will be able to have home court advantage for game three. So hopefully, La Familia can get all the ticket sales and we'll find out probably, tomorrow sometimes who gets, game three if there is one. And hopefully, UK fans will show out and, pack up Memorial Coliseum so UK can, win game one, hopefully game two in the Ville, and we don't have to worry about game three. But hopefully, if we do have a game three, it is in Lexington, though.
Yeah, no doubt. Hopefully, there's not a game three, like you said, and hopefully we can like kind of take care of business early. But it is cool that they're doing that. Like it feels like they definitely kind of opened their eyes to as a full tournament. They're kind of like, well, the money is in the basketball state of Kentucky with the
Yeah.
Ville and La Familia going at it and bringing all the clicks in with that. So I'd be interested to see kind of what behind the scenes looks like. Like last
Mhm.
year when we both got eliminated, I wonder kind of what the tension is after that, because I'm sure it was high 2 years ago when we went to the Final Four and lost to Carmen's crew. But
Yeah.
it's just
Ohio.
cool to see them like realize like, oh shoot, yeah, these people are absolutely psycho about their teams and their former players and stuff, and
Mhm.
they've realized that we're kind of the money makers and they can just throw our logos on it. And
Mhm.
doing this 3 game series is a great way to do it.
Yeah.
And like you said, the game three being in Memorial would be awesome. Hopefully that ends up being the case, and
Mhm.
the fans have done their part with all the ticket sales and all that. So
Mhm.
it's a fun way to start it all. That's an awesome idea that they had, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, and of course, if you all don't know, it's a new era of the basketball tournament. Grand prize has gone all the way up to $2 million, 16 teams. For round one, it's the best of three series. Then it's single elimination. There is an 8-team alumni bracket, and then of course an 18 non-alumni bracket in Las Vegas. And then, of course, winners meet in TPT Championship. So I like all the rule changes for this upcoming year because it definitely means a lot more. You could use the SEC slogan, it just means more. So this best of three series, so with La Familia versus the Ville, is going to be very interesting. And of course, to get on to other news, if y'all don't know, Willie Cauley-Stein is coming back for the third year for La Familia. In his first year, he actually won Defensive Player of the Year for, the basketball tournament. Archie Goodwin is making his return for La Familia for his second year, and then Reed Travis hopefully will be able to play this upcoming year. In the first year of La Familia, he was actually expected to play, but then he had some other professional obligations and couldn't actually play for La Familia. So hopefully Reed Travis can actually play this upcoming year because he would be very big for Kentucky and a dominant big man as well.
Yeah, big, literally and figuratively, because he's just an absolute unit, and he's a dude that I loved when he was at UK, and it was a
Mhm.
bummer, like you said, when announced that he wasn't going to end up being able to play and stuff. So hopefully all that goes as planned right now, and we get him out there because that'd be awesome. I mean, the big men aren't easy to come by, and
Mhm.
obviously we've seen Willie over the years. Like, I mean, even in his playing days, he was never like the biggest bruiser in the world, like strength wise. But that, I mean, Reed's
Mhm.
got that to a
Yeah.
T, and he plays kind of more of that old style big and stuff. So it'd be cool to see them get together. And it's just one of those things that like as Kentucky fans seeing like a collab of or seeing just like a front court of Reed Travis and Willie Cauley-Stein. It's
Mhm.
like what world are we living in? But it'd
Yeah.
be really, really cool to see them wear the La Familia jerseys together and go out there and win some games.
Yeah, for sure. And hard to believe that that Reed Travis was the last UK player currently on La Familia's team to be in the Elite Eight. Like, it's crazy that UK hasn't gone to an Elite Eight since the 2018-2019 season.
It is crazy. I didn't even think about it in that way, but yeah, that is wild. That is a with all the success that we've had and all that. Like it's been
Mhm.
so long, and then Reed's one of the last ones.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like I said, last time we ever went to a Final Four was when Willie was on the roster as well, 2014-2015 team too. Crazy.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt, and it makes it even worse that it's been like so long that these guys are now like showing their age when they're playing in these games and stuff. It's like,
Yeah,
dang,
showing their
it's
age.
been too long.
Yeah, it's definitely been too long. And I do also want to point out if y'all don't follow Reed Travis on Instagram, he is a hoot. Like he'll do, like social media skits. Like I saw one that I posted onto my Twitter or X page, and it was basically him putting on his Kentucky basketball jersey. He's calling up his agent, which was himself, but he was like, dude, you've got to get me back into college basketball. Like, I have to make some NIL money. And then he pretends to be an agent, and he's like, do you know how ridiculous it would sound for me to try to get you back into college when you are a 30-year-old? So I thought that was a funny skit when he posted that.
Yeah, he's a goofball. He definitely shows it through his social media and stuff. But
Hmm.
it'll be fun just to get that personality back. Because I mean, we weren't like a lot of us. We weren't like young when he was here, but it's just kind of cool to see like a different version of him, where like he wasn't a kid when he was playing here, but he was a little
Hmm.
bit younger. Now he's
Grown
even
man.
more of a grown man. So now
Hmm.
he's gonna have a different like personality, and I think he'll love it.
Yeah, and I remember this was probably back in 2024, maybe 2023. No, it had to be 2024 because that was whenever I was talking to my now fiance. But I remember I was working out and it was on some sports channel, but they had like some Stanford documentary going on. And I'm like, whoa, that was a young Reed Travis. And he was probably, I don't know, 18, 19, 20 at that time. I'm like, wow, that's actually a young Reed Travis compared to whenever he was at Kentucky.
Yeah, when he was at UK, I remember like people that I played football with at the time were like, dude, why is he not also on the football team? Like he's an absolute unit. And man, yeah, he
Hmm.
was always just kind of been for the version that we've known him as is just a strong physical presence down
Hmm.
low. So it's gonna be pretty cool just to have that type of guy this year because I mean that's been one of the things that like has seemed to be kind of a regular in this, like with not that they're like washed, but it's not a league that you're going to get out and see a Nate Oates offense where everybody's just running
Hmm.
up and down and
Yeah.
gunning threes. Like there's some of that half court offense where you're going to need some like bruiser down low to be able to get you some physical points. So
Hmm.
I love that pickup and like we
Yeah.
talked about, hopefully it goes through and it all goes as planned and
Hmm.
he's out there playing in the blue and white again.
Yeah, for sure. And I know some people, we didn't get this recruit or target, but people were comparing Marcio Santos, who committed to LSU, to Reed Travis. So I remember seeing comparisons online.
Yeah, yeah. That I mean, that wasn't far off when it comes to the physicality and the way they play and stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, Reed Travis is going to be a ton of fun to see play for us again.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. And right now, I don't know any other roster additions. Of course, there's always been that rumor that, hey, the Harrison twins could potentially come back along with Khalil Whitney. I'm not for sure. Like I said, I am helping out with social media, so I'll probably know, I would say maybe the day before, whenever we're about to post stuff online, who is going to be on this year's team, because I know whenever I was talking to 20 last week that he was still talking to guys to try to get them on the team. So I won't say who, I'll leave it at that, but it'll be interesting to see who 20 Beckham gets on this year's roster for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he's got a long list of alums that he could go get, and so I mean, I don't remember all the rules about it. Is it that you couldn't have signed an NBA contract in like a recent amount of time, or I don't remember all the rules, but
I think it's like you can't have an NBA contract now. I think you have to be like a year removed from the NBA, I believe. I could be wrong about that.
okay. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a long list of guys. Obviously, throughout like the whole run, a lot of those guys are still able to play or they play overseas or something. Um, so I mean, there's a long list of guys that you could go get that
Mhm.
just didn't make it. I know a lot of the Cal era, like those guys didn't end up making it in the league, and a lot of them are still around. But like
Yeah.
the Nate Sestinas of the world, that like we had him 2 years ago, and he was so much fun. Like
Yeah.
go get those guys, and even some of the Pope guys that haven't necessarily crushed it
Mhm.
getting to the next level and stuff. But I
Yeah.
mean, there's a long list of names that you can go get, and honestly, for
Mhm.
me, just because of what we already have seen him do in it, it would be Nate Sestino would be like my number one guy. Just be like,
Yeah.
go get him, please.
Yeah. What he did against the Ville 2 years ago was insane.
Yeah, yeah, that literally, like, I know TBT is not quite the same, but you still get the same like feel because it's all your like childhood like heroes basically.
Heroes.
Um, but seeing Nate do that was like I loved him at UK, but that kind
Hmm.
of ramped it up to another level where I was like, dude, this guy right here, man, like he's just out
Yeah.
here behind enemy lines, doing it in Freedom Hall and just absolutely ruining those guys. Yeah, and then hitting the hardest like L's down
Oh,
that we've
yeah.
seen in
Yeah.
quite some time. So it was a lot of fun when he did
Yeah.
that a couple years ago. So that's why he'd be my number one. That one and many other reasons.
For sure. And we'll talk about maybe our dream roster in a little bit, but I want to continue to talk about La Familia. If y'all don't know, Jon Hood, he is going to be the head coach for La Familia. So they have had three different head coaches in the past 30 years. First year was Tyler Eulis, last year was Sean Woods, and then of course this year Jon Hood. If y'all don't know who he was actually one of the like top ranked recruits. Hard to believe, but he was. He was even ranked higher than Kawhi Leonard coming out of high school, which I find insane because Kawhi Leonard's a two-time, NBA Finals MVP. He's won two championships. I think he's two times Finals MVP. Could be wrong about that too, but he's won the NBA Finals twice. But uh, he, committed to Kentucky under the first-year head coach John Calipari. He played 5 years here at Kentucky. Really didn't get any playing time, but just insane that he was ranked higher than Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, it's always just a funny graphic when I see that pop up. Like once every few years, you'll just see that picture. And but yeah, I mean, he was just like kind of like those guys that end up living out their like the dream of every kid in Kentucky. Like when he's growing up in Western Kentucky and gets that opportunity, and he's a highly ranked player, so he ends up being one of them that ends up being the scholarship guys. It was just super cool to see, and he was like one of the legends to me growing up because I was like, he's just a white dude playing for Kentucky. Like I could do that. Like it's possible. So
Mhm.
I do love it though. I know
Yeah,
it's not the best thing in the world to like not have necessarily like the same coach year after year, but like I feel like it's going to be awesome to
yeah.
get Jon Hood out there with all the coaching experience and
Mhm.
the connection to the guys is going to be a huge thing too. With not that it wasn't going to work with Sean Woods or anything, but like just the connection side of things. Like Jon
Yeah.
Hood's not the youngest spring chicken in the world, but I mean he's close enough, and he's
Mhm.
obviously collabed with a few of these guys over his career. So
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's an awesome hire.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he's been on the staff as like an assistant. I can't remember if he was an assistant under Tyler Eulis in the first year, but I do remember him being on the staff last year with Sean Woods as like an assistant. So he actually knows what, the basketball tournament is, La Familia is. So and he's also been a previous an assistant coach earlier as well. So he does have the coaching experience, and of course, he's also a national champion. He was a part of the 2011-2012 team with AD, Marcus Teague, Michael Kidd Gilchrist. The list goes on and on that year's team. But he definitely does have coaching experience, so I do have high expectations for him as long as 20 Beckham can build a great roster. And so far, I feel like he has done that with the three players so far on the roster.
Yeah, 1000%. I mean, like you said, the TBT coaching experience is one thing too, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's still basketball, but it's a little bit different, just the way
Mhm.
the way
It's
they end
like
up going. And
pickup, kind of.
yeah, yeah. With the Elam ending, it's completely different from like how a normal game would actually end. So, like, there's just all those like there's little things that you kind of get tossed in there that change things up. So being able to have that experience and stuff, with already being on a staff with him is awesome. But yeah, it's going to be really cool. Just like you mentioned, because he's got the experience with Kentucky fans to where like they all know him and they know the name and love him and everything. And then he's also got the connection with the guys where he's had coaching experience outside of it, but he's also coached with TBT already. So
Mhm.
it feels like a home run to me. Like there
Mhm.
wasn't like a ton of options that I feel like you could have chosen from that already
Mhm.
have coaching experience and stuff. So this one makes a ton of sense, and I hope it ends up being the first one to be able to complete the mission and get it
Yeah.
all done.
And also win $2 million.
Yeah, yeah. The $2 million is one of the things that I always just kind of glance over where I'm just like, all right, we just gotta win. We just gotta win. But then yeah, getting $2 million
Yeah.
is pretty massive too.
And previously it was only 1 million, so it's gone basically double.
Yeah, yeah. Going double in the payout there is pretty sweet.
All right. Well, let's finish up wrapping up talking about La Familia and TBT real quick. And I would say what would be maybe like your dream roster, not even, players in their prime, but currently at their age. If you told me probably like maybe Brandon Knight, I feel like he would probably be in game shape right now. So, and he's still kind of young. So maybe like Brandon Knight at the point guard. Maybe Dron Land, bring him back, put him at the two. Like maybe MKG at the three. Power forward. Maybe Kareem Cantor. I know his brother Enos Cantor actually played at Kentucky, but maybe Kareem Cantor. I know he didn't play exactly at UK. If you're going with UK, trying to think of great power forwards we've had. Maybe like DeMarcus Cousins and then like center Willie Cauley-Stein.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that'd be tough. I would probably just go. Like I said earlier, I'll start out with my four, putting Nate Sestino there. I just like
Nate Sestina.
yeah, I'm all in on it. So then yeah, Willie Cauley-Stein. I'll go Archie as the two. I don't really know what his whole thing has been. I know he was at least with the Hawks, but like, is Lamont Butler, is he available at all?
I
Or is
don't
that
think so. I think he's under a two-way with them.
that's okay? Yeah, so that one's out. I like the Brandon Knight call. I feel like that one would be really cool. I'm trying to think of another guard that would be fun. That
I
maybe
would
is more
say John
recent.
Wall, but I just feel like he's out his prime.
Yeah, yeah, that's the problem with a lot of the because it feels like the guards that we've had that would be good enough for you to want to be like, yeah, I want him to be the starting point guard. I mean, it feels like they're kind of on like a far end, like where they probably wouldn't be good enough, or they're in the NBA killing it on our TVs every night.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Is Ashton Hagans, is he available? Is that a possibility? I don't
Mm.
feel like he's signed an NBA contract or anything in recent years, so
Let's see.
maybe Ashton Hagans. Because he was with the Swarm for a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, so I'd maybe go Ashton, Archie. Then I have a blank,
Harrison
Nate and
twins.
Willie.
I forgot
Yeah,
about
the
I
Harrison
forgot about them.
twins.
I assume
Yeah, so
I assume they're going to come back, so probably that's why I didn't mention them, but I assume they'll probably be back. I could be completely wrong about that, but I do think they'll be back. Maybe like
yeah,
Marcus
so
Lee at the power forward.
yeah, that would be a fun one. Yeah, I would say maybe it would be a little bit small because it's just like playing, but I mean just off of like the talent and how much fun they'd be to like watch, I'd say like they wouldn't even play together that well, but like just Ashton because you have like technically youth because like if you look at the rest of the roster, he'd be younger than a lot of them. So like
Mhm.
Ashton, the twins, Nate and Willie, like they wouldn't like necessarily mesh together schematically well, but like that talent alone, with
Yeah.
how I think it would end up working, I think would be pretty sweet. And then you still have Archie and I'd like to get the Dragon back. That'd be fun to have him off the bench and stuff. So
Yeah. Khalil
Karen
Wolf.
Cantor's a good one though. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, Kareem Cantor or
Yeah,
Karen.
yeah, that
Yeah.
one would be fun.
Yeah, it definitely would be fun. And then I would say, who do you think you'll be will be on this year's roster? I'll say probably, maybe the Harrison twins, Khalil Whitney. Uh, I don't think James Young will be back because he did not have a great first year here. So, with La Familia, he wasn't just out of shape. But I would say probably give me the Harrison twins coming back. Khalil Whitney. I'm trying to think of who else might be potentially maybe Ron Lamb as well. Uh, you know who I would love to see though? Like, I would love to see like Kevin Knox.
Yeah, yeah, that would be pretty cool. Kevin Knox would be a fun one.
Yeah.
That's a good call. I'd like to see another name that I mean, he played a couple of years ago, didn't he? Kellen Grady, didn't he play the first
Kellen
year?
Grady. Oh yeah, he played first year. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
so I'd like
great.
to get him back. Kevin Knox is a good one. That'd be fun.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think who else. Yeah, the ones I would expect would be, I'd say Ansley. I mean,
Mhm.
I would hope. And then I would agree with you with Khalil and yeah, it's been weird because it feels like some of the guys have like they've been kind of what you expected, where they've like succeeded,
Mhm.
but it's not like they're out here just killing everybody. But like they're what you expect them to be at where they are now in their career. But some of them it's just been like kind of disappointing. Like not naming names, but there's been a couple where you're like, well, I mean that didn't necessarily go as planned, but
Mhm.
maybe with Jon Hood it maybe works out a lot better for different guys and stuff. So
Yeah.
hopefully that's the case. But we got to get Daniel Orton back out there, get the
Daniel
enforcer
Ward come
back.
back. Yeah. Or Eric Bledsoe.
Yeah, Eric Bledsoe would be fun. Wait,
Yeah.
I heard I saw somebody on Twitter today, I think, say something about Lance Ware. That'd be a
Lance
lot of
Ware.
fun.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun to see Lance Ware be back in Lexington with La Familia. I wish he didn't transfer. Of course, he transferred to Villanova, and then I think he ended his collegiate career at UT Arlington with the former Kentucky
Uh
basketball assistant.
KT Turner, was that his name?
Yeah, JT Turner. He went to UT Arlington. I'm pretty sure that's where Lance Ware ended his career. I could be wrong about that, but I do remember him transferring there after Villanova.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where it ended because that was he didn't do the full 7 year thing or anything.
So,
He
yeah.
had the yeah, he played five. It was three at UK, one Villanova, one UT Arlington.
Yeah. Well, makes sense with the COVID year.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt. But I
But
mean, he ended on top though. He averaged 13.4 a game. So good to
yeah.
see Lance end it strong.
Yeah, for sure. But do you have anything else you want to add about TBT, and then we'll definitely transfer over to other Kentucky basketball news?
I don't think so. I mean, these guys that can do the same like breakdown or whatever before the game as last year's team did with the get money or whatever they said.
Get money, yeah, for sure. But let's transfer over to some NBA news we'll be talking about real quick. I want to say Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, congratulations to him, former Kentucky basketball guard. Hard to believe, backup guard to Quade Green at one point. But he has now won back-to-back NBA MVPs. Of course, he tied the game to go into overtime during the Thunder versus Spurs game tonight. That game was insane if y'all didn't watch it. If y'all didn't watch the replays, Victor Wembanyama just dominated in the double overtime. And of course, in the first overtime, he nailed a three to thankfully send it into double OT. It was an insane game, but I wanted to congratulate Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on winning back-to-back MVP. So,
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he entered like crazy territory with winning his second. The game tonight, like you mentioned, game one delivered. It's very rare that the like your expectations, like your hopeful expectations of what it could eventually reach, it's very rare that those get reached, and it happened tonight. So,
mhm.
shout out both those teams. But Shea winning MVP for the second straight year is crazy. I was gonna pull up a couple of the stats with it because I think he was the 14th player in league history to win back to back MVPs. And then he's now added to a short list of guards to win the award multiple times. Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, Steve Nash, and then now Shea
Yeah,
Gilgeous-Alexander. He is
great.
part of exclusive rare air.
Yep.
It's just crazy. Like you mentioned, that backup to Quad A Green for a long time. I was a Quad A Green believer. I could tell you exactly where I was sitting, where I was when Quad A Green committed. I remember it like it was yesterday, and Shea went in there as his backup and absolutely
Yeah,
snatched that job and never looked back.
yeah,
It's just crazy. Like
yeah.
I would have never thought. I just remember hearing like the name Shea, and it was just one of those names that you like have stick with you. But it was like, oh, it's a 4 star. He was
Yeah.
like committed to Florida or whatever, and it's
Mhm.
just this like Canadian guy. We'll see what happens. Maybe some multi-year guy, and he just came in and
Yeah.
just took over, and he didn't have like the craziest like when you're like, oh, he's a double like two-time MVP. What he averaged 20 something in college. It wasn't that. It was just like
Yeah.
he
The
just
way he
slowly
played.
progressed. Yeah,
Yeah.
and throughout the year he's progressing, and then like you said, he just the way he played, the more comfortable he got, game in, game out.
Mhm.
Um, he was unbelievable there
Mhm.
towards the end of his run at Kentucky. But I never in a million years would have thought that man, even at his peak at Kentucky, would have ever been an NBA league MVP. And never would have expected a back to
Yeah.
back. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Neither would I. And speaking of the commitment to Florida, I think it was either his high school basketball coach or I think his dad, one of the two. But I remember reading an article recently, and this was probably back whenever SGA was first committing to Florida. But they told him not to commit to Florida whenever he first visited, and he didn't listen to whoever was giving him advice. He commits to Florida. Of course, he backs out his commitment, ends up going to UK, commits under Sean Calipari. Like I said, just insane what he's done. And, he originally got drafted, I guess you could say, to the Charlotte Hornets, got traded to the Clippers. And then after his rookie season, he gets traded to the Thunder with the Paul George trade. And of course, Chris Paul really helped, I feel like, with SGA whenever they were both in at OKC with the Thunder. And of course, CP3 really helped out Victor Wembanyama, as you can tell as well. So CP3 was definitely a great mentor for SGA and of course Victor Wembanyama, and it's just insane. Game one tonight, and like I said, where would you rank? I guess SGA. Let's say right now, currently without a second NBA ring, and then one where he gets another ring this year.
What if rank him in what like all
Like
time?
the NBA all time. Right now, I would say he's probably a top 35 player all time and probably like top 25 if he gets another ring, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say like yeah, top 30 right now, just because like a back-to-back MVP is just crazy.
Mhm.
And then doing it in this era too. Like I know that like Jokic and Giannis had their back-to-back runs and everything, but like it's not easy to like stay at the top.
Yeah.
Like with what injuries have done to people and with how efficient he's been throughout all of it, I'd say top 30 with another ring, like you said, probably top 25. But it's just crazy, like that he's even
Yeah.
in that conversation because he'll forever be part of his legacy for me will always end up being that he's on the most lopsided or he's in the most lopsided trade in
Great.
NBA history or maybe sports history.
It is sports
But he's
history, I
also
feel like.
just an unbelievable player. Like I know that the like social media world wants you to believe that he's just a free throw merchant and stuff, but even tonight, like one of the late plays where he just does like a step through and he didn't posterize anybody, but it was like a super violent dunk, and it was just a huge clutch play late. And then,
Mhm.
like you mentioned, the late bucket to get them into overtime and everything. And I mean, he won Clutch Player of the Year for a reason. Like
Yeah.
he's not only the MVP, he's the clutch player, and like he's just an incredible teammate too. Like J Dub said when he got them all watches, he was like, "It's my favorite time of the year," and it was like those
Mhm.
dudes just love him over there. I mean,
Yeah.
you see all the towel stuff that they do on him in the interviews and stuff, and it's just a ton of fun to see. Like he's just ended up being an incredible teammate as alongside being one of the best players that we've seen in recent years, and seeing him dominate. Which it seems like for the rest of time, Victor may just dominate the league. So seeing him at the top right now,
Mhm.
it's so cool to see a cat do it. Because like last year when he got the MVP, it was like, dang man, it's wild to think about. We've never had an MVP, and now
Mhm.
he's back to back,
Yeah.
doing things that nobody was expecting.
Yeah, and honestly, he could have won back-to-back-to-back MVPs. I'm surprised, like, this was 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure Nikola Jokic won it, but I was surprised that the MVP voting wasn't closer. It was really lopsided for Jokic to win it. I thought, hey, maybe like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has a shot to win it, but he didn't win it. Of course, like I said, I'm pretty sure that was the year it was Jokic, and then of course SGA won last year and then won this year back to back now. And the only other thing I really want to mention about SMGA is I was happy that, he gifted basically his whole team like a lot of gifts. It was over $500,000, I believe, he spent on gifts for his teammates. So I thought that was pretty cool if you all didn't see that.
Yeah, it reminds me of like when quarterbacks will get their linemen all like gifts for Christmas and stuff. It's just
Mhm,
like Shea can't take all the glory and praise all at once.
mhm,
He's like, I got to give this back to my teammates and stuff. So it's super cool to see. And he seems like, at least from the outside looking in, I mean, he's just an incredible dude off the court. Like even
mhm,
with his relationship and with being a father off the court and then being the type of teammate he is, it's so cool to see because like they don't let any of the outside noise affect him. He just goes up there and hoops and he's a pretty good dude
mhm.
off the court as well. So that was super cool to see him get all the guys and reward them even during his big time.
For sure. And now let's transition to talk a little bit more about the NBA. If y'all haven't kept up, it's been in the news a lot for the past 2 weeks, but everybody's worrying about Malachi Moreno if he will return back to Kentucky or stay in the NBA draft. And now, uh, Kevin O'Connor with Yahoo Sports has a newly updated NBA mock draft. And they actually have Malachi Moreno getting drafted higher than Jaden Quaitance, which is insane to think about. But he has Moreno right now getting picked ahead of Quaitance at number 23 overall by the Atlanta Hawks. And right now, the comparison for Moreno is Jared Allen and Cody Zeller. So very, very interesting to see that. Like if you told me a year ago, like going into Mark Pope's second season, I would be saying Jaden Quaitance, he's going to be a lottery pick, maybe like top five, top 10 for sure. And then Malachi Marino, he's going to be a project piece. He'll be around in Lexington for at least 2 or 3 years. And now Marino has the chance to get drafted, and nobody would have thought that a year ago.
No, no doubt. I mean, there was nobody really thinking that. There was legit worries from me and you when we found out that it felt like halfway through the offseason there was like some reports that maybe BG hadn't made the progressions that we thought and Malachi was gonna have to play and we were like, oh man, that's it's kind of worrisome. This guy, I mean, he just played at Great Crossing. He's a little skinny. I'm not sure if it'll work. And I know that the NBA they draft off of like your potential, not what you are right now, but the fact that he's already like essentially considered a lock first round if you just look across all the mocks, like it's
Hmm.
just crazy. It's
Yeah.
absolutely unbelievable. And we saw him make all those strides throughout the year and unfortunately ended on kind of a bad note because some of those last few games weren't
Yeah.
great for him. But now he's legit in like a locked first round mode. And it's crazy to think that, like you said, he's in a scenario where he might be getting picked above Jaden Quaintance. Like I would have never thought in a million years.
Yeah, I would have never thought that for sure. And like I said, I think he probably really struggled at the end of the year just because he was going through an injury. Basically, after the Florida game in the SEC tournament, he got asked about a leg injury, and he basically made no excuses. He's like, "I'm not worrying about, injuries. It's not the reason why we lost to them." And I just felt like he was playing injured or hurt probably. I wouldn't say, the whole season, but probably like the last 5 or 6 games of the season. I felt like he wasn't just playing injured and he wasn't fully 100%. But then again, nobody's fully 100% towards the tail end of the year too.
Yeah, no doubt. Everybody's got their little things that they get banged up from and stuff. So that could definitely be part of his. I mean, obviously he's playing big in the SEC is not necessarily ideal for the human body. So he went through a lot and maybe it's all kind of passed by now and through all these workouts and everything that he's gone through with the combine, he's showing what his like potential is and
Mhm.
it's awesome for him obviously, but it's extremely worrisome for Kentucky fans because
Yeah.
obviously it's a huge pivotal piece when it comes to next year's roster.
Yeah. Well, let's get into a prediction on where you stand for Marino, and we'll, of course, also talk about Milan Momcilovic as well. But let's get into this. I would say 70% chance that he returns to Kentucky, 30% chance that he stays in the NBA draft. I feel like for Marino, like I'm still not on the edge of my seat saying, "Oh, he's for sure going to stay in the NBA draft." I feel like he would benefit a lot coming back for his second year. And of course, he's also going to get paid a bag to come back to Lexington. Like I said, I'm predicting he's going to make 2.5, 3 million coming back to Lexington if he were.
Yeah, I don't remember what I said in the last podcast, but I will say every single episode, my confidence will go has gone down.
Hmm.
Um, and I would say at this point, I would say I'm like 60-40 return.
Hmm.
But it's the closest that I've been. Like it's just a little nerve-wracking. But I think the thing that really did it for me today, and I know it's just a mock draft, but like Kevin O'Connor putting that out for Yahoo today and putting that mock draft out of it felt like for a long time it was like, all right, well, it's either Knicks at 24 or nobody else. Like it's just like he's either going to go in the first round with that pick, or he's not going first round, and they'd probably pass on him and see what happens after that. But now that one today is the Atlanta Hawks. So then it's like back to back picks. There's two teams that are pretty interested in him.
Hmm.
And I know he went and visited a few different teams that have first round picks and stuff. So that's what kind of worries me
Hmm.
a little bit. Just the
Yeah.
fact that it's not just Knicks or nothing now. It's now the Hawks are in the mix. So, and obviously they don't just put these out with just a complete guess. Like they've heard things and know what these teams are really wanting. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I would say I'm 60-40, but like you mentioned, the money is still going to be better for if you're talking in just a 1 year scenario, it's still going to be better in Lexington than it would be wherever he
Yeah.
goes with this range of the draft. Like he's gonna be getting paid pretty well. So I'll still lean come back, but it's a little nerve wracking.
Yeah, for sure. And things could definitely continue to get worse for UK fans. Hopefully, we're both right that he returns to Lexington for his sophomore year. Before NIL was a thing, he would definitely be gone, though. Like, everybody w would be saying, like, before NIL, like, yeah, he's going to be a project piece. But for what he did, like, 2018, 2019, like, let's say he did that then before NIL was a thing, he would definitely be gone, I feel like, by now.
Yeah, 100%. It would have been a no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There'd have been no keeping your eligibility open, and it would have just been like, all right, yeah, I'm going to the draft because
Yeah.
being a first round grade is pretty substantial when you're looking at it from the pre NIL era where you just come back to nothing or you can go get a bag right away.
Yeah, for sure. But let's briefly talk about Milan Momcilovic, and then we'll talk about Kentucky basketball recruiting, and then we'll wrap up the podcast. But of course, it sounds like it's a three-team race for Milan Momcilovic. It sounds like it's down to between St. John's, which is a long shot, Louisville, and UK for him if he were to return to if he were to return to college. And of course, the rumor number for him is like potentially $5 million he could make in college, which is just insane to think about. Like he's worth $5 million. Like I don't think he is like for college basketball. I get it, he's really great, but I just think 5 million is too much. But hey, if you have the money, go ahead, afford to pay him. I really don't think, though, if UK were to get Milan Momcilovic, it would cause UK to be title contenders. I think they would easily be second weekend team, like potentially pushing for the Elite Eight. But it'll be interesting to see if Milan does return to college. I do think he will. It just depends on which school he returns to because he's going to make more in college than the NBA draft because right now he's rated like a early or middle round, second round pick. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him though.
Yeah, I mean the Yahoo mock that came out today that we were just mentioning had
Hmm.
him 43, and it seems like that's kind of the range that he goes in. I do think if he came back to Kentucky, I don't know if I would say completely title contenders, but I'm extremely high on him. Like just what the addition would mean for not only him but the rest of the roster. So I would say like Final Four contender to me. And then once you're a Final Four contender, anything can happen. I mean, you could just get
Hmm.
busted by 40 like Oklahoma did in 2016, or you
Yeah,
could just
better
find a way
get.
to win a game and just figure out something there. So um, I would say to me he's worth 5 million just because of what he does to a team at this point, where it's almost
Hmm.
like you just found a golden egg last minute at the end of a run here. Like
Hmm.
everybody's gone through what the potential additions are and stuff, and there's no European that you are as certain about one
Hmm.
like as you pick them up as you would be with what Milan
Yeah.
can do for you. So um he's unbelievable. Like the thing that mock draft today, it literally talks about his weaknesses and stuff. And to me, it just says like, well, the rest of the roster could take care of that at UK. Like
Yeah.
the concern is that he's not much of a shot creator. There's a whole lot of shot creation that can be done
Hmm.
on this team already. Doesn't rebound much for his size. We're gonna have front court that if Malachi comes back, you're gonna have 7 foot 6'11", and then
Yeah.
you're gonna have some guys that are just dogs outside of that. They're gonna be going to help with that. And then he's an average defender at best. I get that, but a
Mhm.
lot of this roster already to me is like pretty solid defensively. So like the one outlier of that doesn't necessarily. What, you don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Cam Williams and Zoom. I know
Bro,
Alex Wiggins is like lockdown.
have you seen Mark Pope's teams the past 2 years?
I'm saying each individual player. I'd 1000% they're good defenders. That's part
Uh,
of why we brought them in.
Individually, yes, but who knows as a
That's what I'm
team?
saying. I'm not saying as a team. I'm saying what the players can do outside of Milan.
Yeah, I mean, I guess fair, but I don't know. Mark Pope, I feel like he cannot coach defense.
No, he definitely can. Well, that's
Yeah,
not an argument at all. I'm
yeah.
saying what the players do individually outside
Hmm.
of Milan, outside of Alex Wilkins would be my argument. But
Hmm.
what the defenders can be on the court outside of him doesn't bother me a ton. It's not
Yeah.
like yes, you can technically matchup hunt and stuff, but like depending on who you're playing, you can defend those in different ways and stuff. So that doesn't worry me. The positive that he brings would like just destroy what the negatives like.
Hmm.
It would be unbelievable to be able to get him at this point. Like I just think it
Yeah.
makes so much sense. So that's why I think he's worth 5 million.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear your point, why he's worth 5 million. But like I said, just it's crazy how much NIL has changed the game. Like if you told somebody like 10 years ago that a player was going to get paid 5 million to return to college, everybody would have been like, "You're crazy."
Yeah, no doubt. People would have thought that you were just from another planet lying to them or something. Because
Mhm.
I mean, everybody still has in their head that Reggie Bush got like $1,000 in 2005 and got a trophy taken away for it.
Yeah, crazy. But we'll transfer over just a little bit. I just want to briefly say that Frank Kimnang officially arrived in Lexington for his final season at Kentucky. If y'all don't know, he's the Washington transfer big man. He played alongside Zoom Diallo. This will be his seventh and final year of eligibility, so I'm glad he is actually finally in Lexington. So that's great to hear, though.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he's the picture was pretty. I mean, we knew he was a pretty big dude, but seeing him next to Pope was pretty
Yeah.
cool. Like once you see him and his mom
Hmm.
getting to Lexington and obviously the eligibility getting cleared a couple weeks ago, it's exciting news to be able to have him. Assuming he's the backup, it's
Yeah.
obviously if that's your like your safety net. If Malachi leaves, then
Hmm.
I have completely different thoughts about the team. But
Yeah.
I think as a big, like we've talked about many times, like if Malachi comes back, he's a 30-minute plus night, plus per night guy, and I think if those other minutes are filled in with Frank, I think that's you can do pretty well with that. So I think in spot minutes and everything, I think he'd be pretty good for us, and so I like it. I'm glad that they were able to get here, get rolling, and everything, and it's gonna be a lot of fun with them.
It for sure will be. And then I guess we're done talking about that. Do you want to talk real quick about basketball recruitment? Of course, Mark Pope and his staff, Mo Williams, they have been in Memphis with the Nike EYBL circuit going on. So, do you want to talk about that real quick, and then we'll wrap up the podcast?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, let's get into it. So, we'll quickly go into all the offers Mark Pope has given to the class of 2027 and 2028. So, let's get into it. So, Mark Pope has extended offers to Darius Wappington, Aiden Diggs, Jan Camgate, King Gibson, Caden Dory, DeMarcus Henry Jr., and Caleb Origugu. I'm not for sure if I'm pronouncing some of these players' names correctly, but he's offered a lot of players. Of course, he has seen a lot of them, but the main players I would definitely keep an eye out on is Yan Camgate. Multiple coaches believe he has number one overall player upside regardless of class. So right now, he is in the class of 2028, so potentially he might reclass to 2027. Uh, Also, you've got King Gibson. He impressed Kentucky staff all weekend. Already, they have built a strong relationship since June 15th with the contact period. Mo Williams, he's been heavily involved, including lengthy phone calls with him, viewed as one of Kentucky's top backcourt priorities in 2027. So, just naming a couple of them right there.
Yeah, I mean a lot of good names on there, obviously, and I mean we mentioned it before. This Pope kind of casts a wide net, and
Mhm,
he doesn't just like throw out offers like it's free candy or anything, but he just goes out and he will reach out and extend an offer to many guys that he thinks would fit.
mhm.
And the one that you mentioned with Yan, I don't, is it Camgate, whatever it is.
Kevin
That's the
Gate.
kid that I feel like we've seen over and over like through these past few days and stuff that, like you mentioned, everybody is extremely high on.
Yeah.
I mean, he's from what I've seen. I've obviously not seen the guy in person. I haven't seen any of these guys in person yet, but I've tried to stay in the loop and watch some of these guys tape and stuff, and he looks unbelievable.
Mhm,
Like you mentioned, with them saying that potentially even if he reclassed, he'd still be possibly number one. So that's a
mhm,
telltale sign of a really solid player. So he's kind of the one that I'm excited about that we've been in the mix with. But
mhm.
King, you mentioned like we've talked
Yeah.
extensively with him, and it's a busy season for all these
Mhm,
guys with all the
mhm.
coaches out there on the trail and stuff. And
Yeah.
but tons of talent that we've talked to, and it's exciting to kind of get the ball rolling with some of these guys.
Yeah, for sure. And then just going down the list to continue real quick, Caden Dory, he's been crazy during EYBL play, 37-point breakout performances. He quickly earned a Kentucky offer after that, considered one of the best scoring guards at the event. Another player I really like is Marcus Henry Jr., just because his father was Chris Henry. Chris Henry was a football player for the Bengals, sadly passed, but for DeMarcus Henry, as one of the biggest stock risers in 2027, elite athleticism, scoring ability, and defensive motor. Kentucky became his first blue blood offer. Of course, UNC offered the next day. And then, of course, Arkansas is another major program to monitor as well. So those are two other players as well.
Yeah, DeMarcus Henry is one of them that has really stood out to me for a lot of different reasons. But like you said, a stock riser that's kind of climbing his way through the ranks and stuff. So he's gonna be a fun one. But I mean, at this time, it's kind of like what you always hear in life. Your best impression is your first and last, like the
Mhm.
most important one. So, with these kind of being like the first impressions and being extending Henry is first blue blood offer is pretty huge. So, yeah, I'm excited to kind of follow along with some of these because it feels like last year is really weird. I know that there's a lot of like pessimism in the fan base when it comes to recruiting, saying that like, oh, we offered this guy and we're talking with this guy, and everybody wants to be like, well, it ain't gonna matter. Pope ain't gonna land him anyways. But it's a completely different world now with Mo Williams out there on the trail
Mhm.
with us. So I think he's
Yeah.
gonna be playing a huge part in all of this,
Yeah.
and so it'll be fun to follow now.
Yeah, and potentially Jamal Crawford if he joins the staff.
Yes, yeah, that would be absolutely massive too.
Yeah, for sure. And just to name a few more players, Louis Uvo, I am interested in him because he's one of the best shot blockers in high school basketball. Many people are comparing him to like the Anthony Davis, Nerlens Noel, and Willie Cauley-Stein just because he's a great shot blocker. And I would like to, compare him to those three players because they were great at UK just blocking shots and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always down to add those incredible rim protectors and stuff because obviously, like you mentioned, we've had some throughout the years at Kentucky that have been a
Mhm.
ton of fun to watch, and we haven't had one necessarily on that level in quite some time. So it'd be fun to get them.
Yeah, for sure. And then going down the list, if y'all don't know, Ryan Hampton, he is considered a reclass, not maybe for Kentucky, because I feel like Kentucky sees him as a long-term piece, so he would probably stay in the class of 2027 if he were to commit to Kentucky. But potentially he could still reclass to the class of 2026 if he were to commit to another school. So that'll be interesting to see. CJ Rosser, Kentucky, they have already gone to see him. Rosser has also gone on a visit to Kentucky, so Kentucky is very interested in the class of 2027, and I feel like he's probably one of the major players that Kentucky is already prioritizing for him.
Yeah, CJ Roster, I think was at the Oklahoma game, maybe. I don't remember. He was at one of the games that I had attended last year, and I saw it pop up on my phone that it was like he's in attendance, and I was like, oh, nice. And that was kind of I'd heard his name, but I hadn't really paid a whole lot of attention until I'd heard it like that night, and I was like, oh shoot, let's look into this guy. And I think at the time he might have been. because these always change. I think he might have been number one or something, but like he's now, I think he may be two in ESPN, but I think he's one in 24/7. So um, he's an unbelievable player. And
Mhm.
like you said, we've definitely prioritized him. I mean, Mark Pope learned how to bait a hook with him. So
Beta.
that's
Yeah.
the telltale sign of you're definitely going after the guy.
Yeah.
They went fishing with him, and I've been in constant contact with him. So
Mhm.
he's the one for me that I'm just like that's the one that I want to see us land over anybody.
Yeah, for sure. And continuing to go down the list, if Beckham Black, if y'all don't know, his brother Anthony Black played at Arkansas, so it might be a tough get for UK to get Beckham Black, but I am interested in the staff going after him because I feel like he's going to be a great player at whatever school he lands at, whether it be Arkansas, Kentucky, or another school. So very interested in him. And then uh, couple of other ones. You've got Eric Dampier Jr. I remember his dad in the NBA. I was really young whenever he was playing. Like I was probably in middle school towards the tail end of his father's career. But so far, Pope attended several of his games. Family relationship and basketball background helping Kentucky build traction because Eric Dampier played with the Knicks, and I think maybe around the same time as Mark Pope. I could be wrong, but I know both of them were on the Knicks at one point. I don't know if they were teammates.
Yeah, I'm not completely sure if they ended up crossing over or not, but yeah, his son is a phenomenal player. That it seems like yeah, Pope is extremely high on with all the times that he's gone to watch him. But Beckham Black, as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, that just feels like Arkansas. You know, his brother
Yeah,
goes there, plays for Muss, and now you have maybe the greatest recruiter of any recruiting ever
yeah.
done,
John Calipari.
in John Calipari, and now he's in Fayetteville where his brother went. I was just like, all right,
It's
not that
controllable.
we shouldn't, yeah, not that we shouldn't waste our time, but like, I don't
Mhm.
know. I think we can all kind of read the room and see where this one may be headed. So,
Yeah.
um, both those guys are really good though. Like you mentioned, wherever they end up, I think both of the guys will end up being really good players.
Yeah, and then the final player I want to mention is Paul Osarui. He remains one of the more polarizing top prospects. He has elite physical tools and athleticism, but there are some concerns about his consistency, motor, and body language. Kentucky right now is monitoring closely, but traction remains uncertain with him.
Yeah, he's an interesting one that I haven't been able to like see a whole lot of, but I've seen it's a guy that I've seen his name pop up a ton since he's one of the top guys um in the class. All I've really seen is just certain
Mhm,
clips and stuff of him, but
mhm,
yeah, sought after and,
mhm.
one of those like big like freak athletes. He's I mean 6'10", 220.
Mhm.
So he's gonna be really good. Like it feels like these next few years there's some really good bigs that Kentucky
Yeah,
is definitely prioritizing. Uh, Throughout these processes here. So he's
yeah.
just another one that's added to the list. And
Mhm.
obviously, you've got to land him first, but I like that that's become
Yeah.
a necessity for the staff.
Well, Mark Pope can teach big men. If y'all don't know, he was a big man, of course, in the NBA, but I'd really do like him and, of course, Mikel McLean, because Mikel McLean, he is in charge of the big men as well. So the past 2 years, I mean, you've seen it with Malachi Moreno the year before, Amari Williams. So UK can actually, get these big men to get the most out of them. And I think that could continue to happen. And hopefully UK can actually land a big time commit in the high school rankings because of that.
Yeah, no doubt. That's the one that you definitely got to feel pretty good with. I mean, he's a guy with NBA experience that could be
Mhm.
coaching these guys. So, yeah, well, getting a big is priority, especially with how Mark Pope would ideally like to
Right.
run his offense and stuff, be able to extend the big out and yeah, I mean space it as much as you can. So yeah, you got to see him land one here soon, but going after like this many and pursuing some of these guys as hard as they are, I mean, it feels like we're destined to land one at some point
Yeah.
within these next couple classes, and
hmm
it's gonna be fun once we're able to get one and let
hmm
Pope go to work with him. But
hmm
yeah, it's gonna be fun to follow. I was looking up Eric Dampier. It turns out he didn't play for the Knicks. I thought he did.
I thought he
I
did too. What?
Yeah, I thought he did, but he did not.
What teams did he play for?
He played for the Warriors for 7 years, played for Dallas for 6, then Indiana, which was the first year of his career, and then Miami and Atlanta to end his career.
I mean, maybe he got traded to the Knicks in one of my career series growing up as a young kid.
Yeah, that might have been it, honestly. But I felt like maybe I'm thinking of somebody else, but I thought he did play for the Knicks. I could have swore he did.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I do want to talk about one other thing and then we can wrap up the podcast. But I want to talk about Jamal Crawford. So it sounds like, if Jamal Crawford wants the job at Kentucky, all he has to do is accept it. Sounds like the offer is still on the table for him. And I mean, it makes sense. That's probably one of the reasons why Mark Pope still hasn't filled out the last position on his staff because he's still hoping that Jamal Crawford will join the staff, and if he does, it would be great because then you have two former NBA legends that everybody knows about. Mo Williams playing with LeBron James in Cleveland. He also, of course, scored like 52, 53 points, and then of course Jamal Crawford. The last time he played in the NBA was in the bubble with the Brooklyn Nets, so that was an interesting time as well. But like I said, it would be great if UK could actually get Jamal Crawford to come though here to Lexington.
Yeah, it'd be so sick. I mean, even for like the guys, because I'm a little bit older than like where the guys are that are being recruited now. But like Jamal Crawford was like my not my favorite player growing up, but he was up there in the mix because he's just like, I mean, that's Jay Crossover. That's like the coolest
Yeah,
coolest dude to watch and some of the best highlights that you'll ever see. So, um, to your point though about like the staff spot being open, like I mean it feels like it makes sense that once he's done, because I think ABC has the finals, so I think him
yeah,
with NBC and his media, they'll be done by the time the conference finals are over.
hmm
Um, and maybe you see something kind of fire up there, but it feels like I don't. They just haven't really. I know Kevin Keats was mentioned a while back, and like there was other names that were at least mentioned, but like none of them felt super real. And
yeah,
then the Jamal Crawford one's kind of just been looming, and nothing's happened, but there's not been a no, and so
hmm
it's been weird, but it feels like at this point, like maybe it's actually going to happen. And like
yeah,
you said earlier, with the recruiting, it's going to be absolutely massive, and then just coaching wise too. I mean, he played in the NBA for an extremely long time, so he
yeah.
completely gets it.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, I feel like for him, he eventually wants to become a head coach because, like, I feel like he's going to be an offensive guru. He will be able to, draw sets and plays. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens with him. I mean, it would be great for him to become an assistant here at UK, help with Mark Pope and probably Jamal Crawford would also have free reins on recruiting. Like, he would be able to recruit anybody he wants to. Like, Mark Pope would give them that leash to say, hey, here's free reigns. You can recruit any player that you feel like is good at Kentucky.
Yeah, no doubt. It feels like he'd have that freedom, and I think he'd kill it with that. And the other thing that would be extremely nice with it is just his son. Like I know it doesn't like just
Mhm.
guarantee you that you get JJ Crawford.
Yeah.
Is he the class
20,
of 29?
yeah, 2029.
Okay, so yeah, I mean he's gonna be if he doesn't end up being the number one, he's gonna be one of the top players in that
Mhm.
class. And not that it guarantees you that, but like even if Jamal's not here and maybe he gets a coaching job somewhere or whatever, like it's still gonna be the school that got him started in his
Yeah.
coaching journey and stuff. Like if that ends up working out, so you'd at least have some ties there and stuff. So that'd be
Yeah.
another huge benefit to it.
Yeah, and probably what would happen if I were to guess Jamal Crawford comes on his staff at Kentucky. His son probably plays at Frederick Douglass, if I were to guess. And that would be great because Sean Smith would be the head coach. If y'all don't know him, he's a great guy. He had his own website as well, but now he's focusing, on high school coaching as his permanent job. So that would be insane to see his son play with Sean Smith at Frederick Douglass.
That would be pretty sweet. I mean, I didn't even really think about that whole situation, but um, yeah, that'd be really cool. Maybe he'd end up doing like not that Frederick Douglass isn't, but there's certainly higher levels to it, and maybe he ends up doing like the boarding thing, and he just ends up staying at a certain school or something. And
Yeah.
I'd assume that he would leave Rainier Beach and maybe go at least somewhere closer or something. But
hmm
that would be cool. I mean, Sean Smith is an awesome dude. had the opportunity to talk to him a few times
Hmm.
throughout coaching and stuff, and he's just been a great dude every time I've met him.
Yeah.
And and yeah, so it's a cool opportunity that he got that job at Frederick Douglass, and I mean they're going to get some talent if they were to get JJ Crawford. That's a whole nother level of talent if that
Yeah.
was to end up happening.
Yeah. They would definitely be probably competing for state.
Yes, yeah, 1000%. Yeah, just
Yeah.
his addition alone, you can put
Mhm.
me and you beside him, and we'd probably have a chance to compete for state.
I don't know about that. Hey, I did play some pickup basketball the other day and I was actually drilling some threes, so I was happy about that.
Hey, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
other than in the winter, I don't have time because of coaching and stuff. But
Mhm.
I'm basically year round men's league, so now I'm just playing in men's church leagues like year round. It's a ton of fun.
Mhm. Yeah, I hear you. Well, let's get into a prediction on where we think Jamal Crawford, if he will end up on staff, and then we'll wrap up the podcast for good for the night, for the week, probably. But for me, I would say I would give it a 55% chance that he won't be the next assistant coach at UK, and 45% chance, like he might actually end up here in Lexington at UK. So I do think it's a lot closer and maybe after the conference finals are up, like you said, you hear information that he will actually be an assistant at UK, but I think we'll figure out one way or another after the Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals are over that he'll either accept the job or fully turn it down.
Yeah, not that it's like so late, but I mean, it's already May 19th when I mean, it's now the next day. It's a late one, but
Yeah.
May 19th that we're filming this. Not that it's like late and you're pushing anything, but like the fact that there's not other names that have kind of popped up just makes my confidence kind of grow a little bit. But I'd say
Mhm.
I'm like 60-40 that he ends up being the next head coach. Like I'm a little bit more confident than you are, just because it just to me it makes sense that like they're kind of holding off and knowing that and it's kind of lingering because he can't give you a definite answer
Yeah.
other than he could say just no. Um, but he's not going to be like, yep, 1000%, I'm going to do that. But to me, it just feels like it makes sense that the staff is pretty confident that this is going to be the like path they go down and he's going to end up being on the staff and everything. So to me, I feel like I'm a little bit more confident than
Mhm.
you are with that. But I do think he'll end up being on staff.
Oh, interesting. Like I said, I have it 55% that he won't be on staff. So I have it below 50 that he will not be on the staff. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like I said, we'll probably figure it out, I would say, within like the next week to 10 days. If I feel like if he were to be on the staff just because of how the conference finals are shaping up.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, if they're doing the coverage, it feels like the Spurs Thunder is like a no doubt like 7 game series to me. But so who knows? I guess it all kind of depends on how long these series end up going.
Yeah, for sure. But do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap up the podcast?
I think I'm good.
Well, we appreciate you all watching on YouTube and, of course, listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. But this is Chris Beast morning.
And Cameron Waddle.
Signing out. Have a great week, everybody.